it's basically author tour season for me again. Welcome on in, everybody. So what are some bits of advice I have that pretty much will get you through the high anxiety, large crowd situations of pretty much any event you decide to attend as an author vendor? Let's go ahead and have a small review style of a chat. Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references. Alongside the raw healing stories my characters in the Myrna Annals do weave throughout time and space, also with other related tales such as Vitae Langica involved. We like to hang out at, different kinds of Ren fairs and fairy balls and fairy con. We're not exactly attending fairy con. That's going to be November's fall event in Baltimore. We are attending the spring fairy ball in Baltimore this weekend, and I wanted to review some things because I'm a little nervous about attending this event. Pardon me. Loki scratched me earlier when we were snuggling, so I'm still dabbing away there, but I have some anxieties. I know Baltimore's. I know my home city and the city that birthed me. So I have some anxieties as far as traveling there goes with crowds and more. Anyway, add an event on top of it. So I love my Fae events. I feel safe with the Fae in Baltimore. So that's why I'm going to this event versus others I have not included later on in my tour. So let's look at the review of items. Number one, let's just admit front and center that sensory landscapes are changing, especially as more, not just book events, but cons, fairs, and whatnot decide how period correct are we going versus how technologically involved are we. Now, even at Mythicon last month, there were techie things involved. We did have actual shows with sound checks for one, on one of the stages at least, and then of course booths had electricity running to them. That's all true and involved, but some people might at some cons, like when I did a 4-State Comic-Con, which is up for me this coming April, some people actually have, interactive blinky noise-making things at their booths, or they're playing music at their booths that may or may not be related to what they're selling. It might just, like sometimes I will play Scottish theme music or like adventuring D&D kind of jive music, or even Egyptian themed music on occasion at my booth just to give me something to listen to, and kind of background music at the shop applies. Also, you might have people there with actual TV screens. I have been known to even use my tablet at some events to play things like the chapter reads over on the Myrna Annals YouTube channel, live at events for people to listen in on. So that adds a whole nother layer of sensory things to be prepared for. And if you don't prepare, and also sometimes you could prepare a lot ahead of time and the plans go awry. So allow wiggle room for both of those to be the case, and also shift your perspective. This could be very, very fun. Check your fear. Is your fear really fear, or is it anxiety? But if something happens, because life be life in these days, look at the fact that you are empowered to go through the moment in the best case scenario. And this is all the more reason why I love going to the events with the Baltimore Fairy crew and related events, because people will check on you. Like, there were people at Mythicon who I could tell they were volunteers for the event. I could tell they clearly needed a second to go. So you are always allowed to sit behind my event table if you befriend me as a vendor or as a volunteer at an event, and be like, can I just for a second and just sit here? And fine, I will go to the bathroom, or can I go get both of us something to eat or drink? Those kind of questions come out of my mouth because sometimes I need away from the booth for a moment anyway, and we're helping each other. Another thing here is also remind each other to sleep and remind each other to drink something other than caffeine. I love my Hoggle. Oh my goodness. Whew. I sometimes worry about whether or not she's sleeping at some events too. And I got that from her in return last time for Mythicon. So we check on each other's health. It's not just the remember to shower to, teenager levels, but also the are you remembering that the vehicle having the fun is also getting refilled at the gas station when it's convenient and when it's not inconvenient applies. So therefore, ground yourselves before you walk out and about from your booth or even throughout the vending event to set up and take down. Take a moment to take in the layout of the event in real time. Maps can be to scale, but they can also be deceiving. And sometimes even the best taken pictures and video of an event does not always give you the exact layout of how they're using the space this year. It could be a new space to them, or they just might be reusing it in a different way. Both applies. And I very much enjoy that at Faye events, they are very cognizant like me. I always tend to ask to be somewhere near a bathroom in case my PCOS treatments make my stomach not like me and I need the ladies' room really quick. Or, more importantly, someplace a little more quiet, because sometimes I do the video stuff. I'll be vlogging and live streaming at this event this coming weekend, true. But also, I'm naturally an introvert. And some of you are like, I don't buy that. I am naturally an introvert. Sometimes when some of you see me chatting in chats, I haven't talked to anybody all day. Heads up. And you're like, oh, now a lot of Jenna makes sense. I love you for tolerating me and including me, more importantly. So therefore, find ways to ground yourselves. I like to find where the quietest bathroom is, for example, and I will walk. If it's the one next to me, fine. But if that one gets busy and I know I need a walk, I will walk to the bathroom that is the nicest, even if it's the furthest away. Go there, do what I need to do, and walk back. Sometimes I will go outside and go for a little walk outside. We all need the fresh air. So just communicate, find ways to ground you. Earbuds are good for events because sometimes there's a lull. You might want to listen to something for your own entertainment, and those are moments to really focus on something that would then therefore ground you. And that leads me to point out about low energy interaction. So this is really finding taking moments to take small talk and anchor them into more meaningful conversation. Now, after doing this for a year or more back to back, have kind of come up with certain topics, prompts, buckets of thought that I can kind of, if someone's being really nervous, guide them down myself. And it's just normalizing that someone is welcome to feel welcome at your booth, even just to talk. They don't have to purchase anything. That sometimes is the key. I often started looking at these conversations that I have with people who come and go from my booth as an opportunity to talk about anything and everything. Because sometimes not only does that mean they loop back around to buy something that day, but I have had people who, say for example last year, someone met me at 4-State Comic-Con and they found out, oh, she's going to be at Fright Reads Book Fest right down the road by about half an hour later this year. I loved her ebook that I got for free from her newsletter. Let me get book 1 and book 2 in paperback and bring them to the event and maybe buy more books and get them all signed. And I've had that kind of long-term bridge be something that happens. Or I've met people who got interested in my services and now some y'all's my clients. Or I'm working with you in collaboration on another project. So looking for those moments to really anchor in and focus on just making a connection, not necessarily a sale, has been a huge, huge impact on me. And it also led me to grow a lot in my virtual services. And it led me to really grow up hard and parent my inner child as a business owner in many ways. Because even though I'm from a big family, I literally was told you should not be heard and you should not be seen growing up. Now, mind you, that's not an excuse. That is merely me admitting I had a lot of hard lessons to swallow and a lot of hard lessons to learn about peopling that were much deserved, that I'm so thankful I had this early in my career as an indie version of my business and as an self-publishing end version of my business. And to the clients that provided those lessons, I'm sorry and thank you. Both applies. So yeah, there were high stakes last year. I failed. I faceplant multiple times. And I am very grateful that I was able to learn in these high stakes how to anchor myself into pillars that serve my business, that made me rebirth parts of myself and parent parts of myself in ways virtually and physically spaces considered that I had never considered doing before. And therefore it became a reclamation of knowing that I need buffer time after events to not, it's not that I was necessarily burning out last year. There were greater issues at play than burnout that I refuse to talk about in public spaces because some stuff's just not y'all's business. We'll put it that way. And did it come out of me in horrible ways? I am so sorry. And I am grateful for the lessons taught once again. Does apply. So looking at what I can do to make sure that how I present myself is me without shame to be who I am. And taking time to process the lessons has been worth it all along. And you know how I feel about people mattering. If you made it this far, go ahead and let's do it is spring. Let's do a flower emoji of some kind with the equinox coming in later this week and all the good astrological jujus on my calendar over there. Take care of yourself. You've been worth it now more than ever. Like, comment, share, bring a friend. Take care.